Welcome to the Purple Elephant Show. I am your host, KC Phoenix, and I am back another weekend, some more episodes. I'm recording episodes today, so I look forward to doing these episodes. It's been a super busy weekend. So, for those who may not know, with my other channel, which is my Anything But Politics channel, which is Keeping It Real with KC, that channel I did 8 episodes yesterday. And yesterday was Saturday, the 1st of August. So I've never done that many episodes before for this show or on the Keeping It Real with KC show. And it's been busy with that. I've been doing the administrative stuff behind the scenes that I mentioned last weekend. One of those administrative things was to get verified by Parler, the new social media app, which I plan on doing an episode about Parler today. It won't be during this segment, but just bringing that up to let you know. And there's a ton of other things going on. So it's just been super, 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 super busy. So yeah, to quote Laura Charles, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad I made it. So yeah, and for those of you who don't know who Laura Charles is, watch the movie The Last Dragon. All right. As for the housekeeping stuff, the main podcasting platform, thepurpleelephantshow.com, that will take you to the main podcasting platform. You can listen to all the podcast episodes there, including the podcast only episodes. To know that it's a podcast only episode, you will see the letters PCO right after the episode number. That will let you know that it's a podcast only episode. And more than likely next weekend, I will probably do 1 or 2 podcast only episodes next weekend, along with maybe 1 or 2 videos. It depends on what is happening at that time. Because as I said before, I'm doing administrative stuff for both these channels behind the scenes, and that is taking up a lot of bandwidth while I'm getting all of that stuff laid out and crossing my T's and dotting my I's. So yeah, to follow, you can follow on Parler, The Purple Elephant Show. You can follow on Instagram, The Purple Elephant Show. And you can follow on Twitter at RealTPES. If you're watching this on YouTube, I was about to say Facebook, but yeah, we'll get to Facebook in a second. If you're watching this on YouTube, then don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button, followed by the notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime I upload any new videos to the YouTube channel. If you're watching on Daily Motion, don't forget to click the subscribe button. If you are watching on Facebook, because I haven't, or if you're following on Facebook, I haven't been using the Facebook. I just started back using it, so I have to log in and see what the Facebook link is. So it's facebook.com/the Purple Elephant Show is what it is for Facebook. And I just started back posting on Facebook. So that is I guess a good thing now. And I'm sort of testing it out, which I believe I mentioned in one of last week's episodes, just to see how it goes. So you have all of the social media stuff. I've got the housekeeping out the way. What I want to discuss is what the title of the episode is about. 80% of older Americans can't afford to retire. And that just threw me off because I felt like it may have been 40 to 50%. I definitely didn't think it would go past 50%. But according to research, they're saying that 80% of Americans can't afford to retire. Or older Americans cannot afford to retire. And I believe it's 1 in 3 don't have any retirement savings. Now, when it comes to getting older, roughly about, and I have notes this time because I'm officially starting to put little notes on the side so I don't forget things. Roughly about 1% of the population turns 65 every year. So that's around about 10,000 people every day turn 65. One of the biggest things that affects older people is healthcare. The Affordable Care Act hasn't been fixed yet. It still needs to be fixed. and redone. The strange thing is that for the Democrats, when they took back the House in 2018, the Democrats that were running in quote unquote purple districts, moderate districts, what they pushed was, if you elect me, I will go and I will work on healthcare to make healthcare more affordable and do what needs to be done to help out on healthcare. During the 2018 election, they pushed healthcare, 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 healthcare. And not just for old people or older people, but people of all ages. And since they have been elected back in office, it's been get Trump, get Trump, get Trump, get Trump, get Trump, get Trump, get Trump. Healthcare has not happened at all. It hasn't been touched. And it's odd because the one president who is open to fixing things, President Trump, is not a Republican. I don't want to call him a rhino because, Republican in name only. He's a pragmatist. He's the type of person where if there is a problem and there's a solution, he doesn't care where the solution comes from. If it comes from a Democrat, fine. If it comes from a Republican, fine. If it comes from an independent, fine. He doesn't care. If you bring him a problem with the solution and it is a common sense solution and it makes sense to do, then more than likely he's going to go for it. He doesn't care. Just like with certain things, with opportunity zones, that, as I mentioned before, when Tim Scott brought that to him, Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina brought that to him, some of the other Republicans weren't on board with that. Another thing with criminal justice reform, some of the other Republicans were not on board with that, but President Trump lobbied those Republicans to get the votes for the opportunity zones, which was included in the tax cuts bill. And then also he lobbied Republicans in regards to the First Step Act. And that's just how he works. If it is a good idea, he's open to it. So if the Democrats, instead of doing this get Trump phase that they've been on, or being in this get Trump phase that they've been in, since they've been elected back to the majority of the House, if they would have just focused on health care, we more than likely could have had a health care bill done. Because if the Democrats would have been reasonable on a health care fix and then sent it to the Republicans, I'm sure President Trump would have lobbied the Republicans like he has done in the past to get a bill done. But they haven't done that. And sadly, older people are, I would say, the main people affected by that. Another thing that I didn't know, and this is by Genworth. It was a 2017 cost of care survey. It says it's $100,000 a year is the median cost for a private room in a nursing home. And then $85,000 a year is the average cost if you don't mind sharing a room in a nursing home. And then if you are just looking for somebody to do some home care for one shift a day, you're looking at paying about $50,000 a year for that. And of course, the outside of the shift, you would be by yourself. Now, as you get older, the body's wear and tear. Now, we do have advancements in certain things with medicine. I won't say that medicine doesn't advance. As I said before in my episode, China, United States, and Revolution, we're still 100 to 200 years behind when it comes to medicine and technology. But medicine does advance even at the snail's pace it advances. So it does advance. And that helps. However, there will still be things that even with the advancements of medicine, that the body it just can't be fixed as you get older, and you will have to pay more to maintain that older body. I I think it's sad that we don't have a way to do more for older people. It really is. And another thing with social security is that with the current situation, social security is being affected because, as you know, some states are closed, some states aren't, some states are half open. Is the economy is pretty much a wreck right now in trying to regain its footing. When people are not working, money is not coming out to go into Social Security. For Social Security, that is paid out to the people who really need it. Now, there were some amounts here. Here we go. I have some numbers here. At the end of 2018, Social Security was providing income to about 67 million Americans. About 47 million of them were over the age of 65. The majority of the rest were disabled. So 47 million Americans were over the age of 65 out of the 67 million. So that lets you know the majority of Social Security is going to the older Americans. And 47 million people, that's a lot of people. Now, as time goes on, the cost of living changes. Now, with increased healthcare costs, prescription drugs, which should be going down due to the new executive order that was done, because President Trump has said it was a bill. I don't recall that being a bill. I looked and I'm pretty sure it was an executive order. Executive orders and bills are not the same thing, but another story for another day. And other things that play a role in cost of living while aging. As time goes on, the buying power of what someone older has saved diminishes. And that is not advantageous to them because what they could buy maybe 3 or 4 of back then, they can maybe only buy 1 of now based on inflation and everything else that comes into play with that. We honestly need to do something and focus on Social Security and helping old people. We also need to focus on the debt. As for Social Security, it was addressed in 1982, which is one reason why there was a payroll tax increase, because it was coming close to becoming insolvent. So there had to be a payroll tax increase to help keep Social Security balanced as well. But there's only so much we can do. And it's hard raising taxes on people because then that crushes businesses. And then also it crushes the middle class. Because if you raise taxes on the middle class, then they can't do as much. If you raise taxes on the rich, they can't hire as many people. I know people have this concept that rich people, when it comes to taxes, that they don't do anything but spend money on yachts and a ton of houses and all this other stuff. It's not always like that. Usually they are hiring people. And quiet as it's kept, if taxes are raised on rich people, they'll just park their money somewhere else. They have the money to hire attorneys and accountants and whatever else needs to be hired to move their money wherever they need to move it to make it accessible at any time. They can convert their money into whatever they need to convert it to and just make it disappear if need be. For the uber rich, they have the resources to hide their money if they so choose. And eventually, when it comes to taxing rich people, quote unquote, socialism, eventually you're going to run out of other people's money to spend. And then what? So you have to find a way to balance these things out. You have to find a way to balance the budget. You have to find a way to pay down the deficit. which in February, we were at, let me check here, February 2020, we were at 23.3 trillion for the debt of the United States. Apparently, we're supposed to be at 26 trillion, I think now, give or take. Something needs to be done. And instead of focusing on get Trump, get Trump, get Trump, and all of these riots and all of these protests and everything else, we need to focus on the monetary things, because that is how countries fall, is when the monetary system completely falls apart. I empathize with people on all sides that have grievances they want addressed. It won't mean a thing if there isn't a country. And the biggest thing for me right now is making sure that the country finds balance when it comes to their monetary obligations. And it honestly breaks my heart that older people cannot retire. Because if you've worked your entire life, like me, I've been working since I was 14 years old. Uncle Sam has taken taxes out of my check since I was 14 years old. That's why I fight so much with Uncle Sam when it comes to taxes all the time. When you've worked your entire life, or most of your life, and you're ready to just kick back a little bit, relax, possibly see the world. Some people travel the world. I know people who travel all over the world. Some people aren't into that. Some people are just like, you know what? Let me rest on my front porch, sit out in the sunshine, sip a glass of tea. That's good enough for me. Go play some golf, go on a few walks, do a little bit of hiking, stuff like that. Pick what you like. When you can't enjoy the fruits of decades and decades and decades, because 65, so even if you went into the workforce at 20, that's 45 years right there. So that's decades on top of decades, on top of decades. So yeah, that's more than 4 decades that you've put in work. And you just want to spend your remaining years, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, or whatever, to say, hey, you know what, I just want to kick back a little bit. Or for some people, be semi-retired. Some people, they like working. They enjoy working. Some people enjoy working full time. But for some, they may say, hey, I just want to be semi-retired. I'll work 15 to 20 hours a week. I believe older people should have that right. And it's not fair that they are unable to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Now, this is not a blank check for bad decisions, because decisions play a role in everything throughout life. If you make good decisions, usually good things happen. Not all the time, because as I say before, the bad guys don't always lose and the good guys don't always win. However, for the most part, if you make good decisions, good things will happen in life. And the good will outweigh the bad. For people who are making good decisions, but they still find themselves in a bad situation where they can't afford to retire, that's not right. I'm not saying subsidize the entire older population. What I am saying is find a monetary balance to help find a way to get things, get those people on the right track to take advantage of things that will make their golden years more enjoyable. And we can't do that if we're focusing on the stuff that really isn't that serious right now. Like get Trump. President Trump, there were presidents before him, there will be presidents after him, if the republic still remains. So that just really 80% of older Americans can't afford to retire. That's just crazy to me. And that's why I wanted to talk about it. And that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Of course, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. ThePurpleElephantShow.com for the main podcasting platform. The Purple Elephant Show on Parler. I love that app. I will start doing more on that app. And The Purple Elephant Show on Instagram. Facebook.com/The Purple Elephant Show. Twitter @RealTPES. Thank you again. I appreciate you more than you know. Be blessed.